have a criticism of quite a few of the reviews that I read. An age gap, close proximity, I believe, and it is obviously an romance. I must admit, I really like the male lead in this book. This will be my first Taylor Jenkins read, the best audiobook that I've listened to. Hello, welcome back to another vlog. I thought it would be fun to film a what I realistically read in a week as a full-time girly. Full transparency, I am starting this at 10:20 p.m. on Monday, so I'm not going to be able to read that much today. However, I did finish Agnes Orbo's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett today. I listened to the last 62 pages of this on Audible today. So we have 62 pages to add to the end of week tally. But because I finished this book, it's time to pick my next read. So let's talk through the options. I have 5 options for what the first book of this reading vlog can be. The first 3 are actually from my March TBR, which I should probably prioritize, but am I in the mood for it? That's the question. First, we have What Happens in Amsterdam by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Very cute cover on this. This is a romance. I think it's a second chance one. I could be wrong, but I do believe I'm wrong. It's actually a marriage of convenience, which could be fun to read about. Second, Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reads. I am still yet to read any of Taylor Jenkins Reads books. This is also on my 26 books I want to read in 2026 list, so this could be a good one. I don't think it's too long, like maybe 370 or so pages, and it does follow a retired tennis star who has come out of retirement because there's this new up-and-coming athlete who's starting to break her records. I'm currently in my tennis era too, so that could be fun, but do I want to start that at 10:20 p.m. on a Monday? I'm not sure. Third, which I don't think we'll pick right now, but it's For Whom the Bell Tolls by J.C. Lynn. I've heard such good things about this. It is quite long though. It is just over 600 pages, so that is a chunky book, but I do believe that this is a standalone fantasy, which is nice. It'll be nice not to have to delve right into another big fantasy series. My only qualms is that I have read 3 fantasies back to back, so we'll probably pause this one, but I might pick it up later on in the week if we get a chance. And then my last 2 options. We have Common Goal. I could continue reading the Game Changers series by Rachel Reed. You might know it as Heated Rivalry series. This is, I think, the 4th book in the series. It's also only 300 pages, which is quite nice, and I believe it'll be quite easy. This series feels very comforting. It's not my absolute favorite writing ever, but for some reason I just love reading her books. So that is looking promising. But the last book is my book club pick for this month, and that is How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates by Shaylee Thompson. Love this cover. This is quite possibly one of my favorite covers. It's only 350 pages. I've heard that this is a slasher style rom-com. I think honestly that for tonight I could either start Common Goal or How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates. I think I'm going to start with How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates. If the first 2 chapters aren't grabbing my attention tonight, we'll switch over to Common Goal, but let's start with this. I need to make a cup of tea, change into my pajamas, get comfy, and start this as our first book for this reading vlog. Hello, happy Tuesday. It is 8:30 p.m. so we're actually starting a bit earlier than yesterday, but somehow I actually managed to read 50 pages of my book. I did go to bed quite late, I will say, and if I sound a bit snuffly, I have a head cold right now, so that's driving me nuts. But so far I'm really liking it. I did make the mistake of going on Goodreads, and this book has quite polarizing views, which is good. I like a book that has polarizing views. I'm just worried that I'm going to have a bias now going into it. However, I do have a criticism of quite a few of the reviews that I read. So I think I explained the premise of this book, but it is but it is a slasher style rom-com. The female main character is a cinephile. She's writing her thesis in the crossover between horror and rom-com, so she's really into films. The book literally starts with a little excerpt from her thesis about the crossover between horror and film, and then her best friend is like, these two genres don't go together, they should never go together. And I see a lot of criticism about this book saying that you shouldn't try to make like a horror slasher style book into a rom-com as well, which is silly because that's the whole point of this book. So is it going to be for everyone? No. But if you can go in knowing that the book's going to give kind of like Scream vibes, a little bit of scary movie vibes, then I think you'll like it. It is also going to be cringy, but it's actually meant to be. Like the female main character, I'm not up to this part yet, but on the back it says that she starts to fall for one or a few of the guys, and I think they like start to have a little situationship whilst they're in the middle of this murder situation. That's the whole point of the book. It's meant to be a bit cringy. So if you can go in knowing that, I think you'll enjoy it. But so far I'm liking it. The other thing is that it takes place all in the same night, so I'm curious to see how I enjoy the pacing. So far I like it, but I'm wondering after like 350 pages if it's all on the same night, if that'll be a bit too much. So I'll report back how I'm going, but I'm going to make another peppermint tea, take some painkillers, and sit on the couch and read some more. Hello, happy Thursday. I didn't talk to you at all yesterday because I was actually off sick, so I wasn't feeling very well. But what that did mean is I got a lot of reading done. I believe I read 160 or so pages yesterday, and then this morning I actually finished off How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates. I think I'm going to give it a 3.75 stars. This is not a genre that I would gravitate towards, but I feel like Shaylee Thompson, who's the author of this book, did such an impeccable job of genre blending slasher and rom-com. It is exactly what you would think a slasher and a rom-com would have. So is it going to be a little bit over the top, a bit cringe? I think I've mentioned that already. Yes, but it's meant to be, and I think it's very cleverly written. She clearly has researched her movies as well to put little nods to different slasher movies and rom-coms in the book as well. So I'd recommend if you want to give a different kind of genre a go. But that does mean that we get to pick up a new book to read. I have some options. I feel like I need something a little bit more light and breezy after that. I have What Happens in Amsterdam, which is a marriage of convenience. Carrie Soto is Back, or Common Goal. Technically I should read either What Happens in Amsterdam or Carrie Soto is Back because they are on my March TBR, but I think I'm going to go with Common Goal because this will be a really easy book to read. So this is part of the Game Changers series by Rachel Reed. Probably you might know it better as Heated Rivalry, but this follows a veteran goaltender and a graduate student. So there is an age gap, close proximity, I believe, and it is obviously an MM romance as well. If you don't know anything about Heated Rivalry, they are MM hockey romances. This is, I think, the 4th book in the series, so it would also be good to knock off another book in the series. I really want to read the last book, and it is just over 300 pages, so it's also nice and short. I'm off to the GP shortly, but I'm sure they'll be running late, so we'll take this book along. But for now, I'm going to take this makeup off because it's annoying my face, make a peppermint tea, sit down and start reading the second book for this vlog. I'm only 16 pages in, so I don't have much to update in terms of if I'm going to like the two male main characters. However, the first few chapters there at the engagement party for Kip and Kyle, if you've read Game Changers, you'll know that those two are like the main characters from that book. And it does feel nice and familiar when you get like previous characters from their books in the current timeline. So I'm enjoying that so far. But I'm gonna sit right here, read some more, and then I'll update you again later on. Checking in on Saturday. I didn't read anything yesterday, so I had no updates for you. But on Friday, I ended up reading 62 pages. Today, so far, I've only read 12 pages, which is not good. But that just shows, you know, some days I'm going to read more, some days less. I don't really have an excuse for why I haven't read much today. I have had the laziest Saturday ever, which has been nice. It has been quite a rainy weekend, so I've been enjoying listening to the rain, watching some movies more so than reading. But that is my update. I don't have much of an update on the book so far. I'm still liking both the main characters. I always get curious what like the third scene conflict is going to be. Again, I'm not expecting this book to be the best thing I've ever read, but it is a nice read after a slasher rom-com, that's for sure. So I'm going to get back to reading. I'll update you when I've gotten a bit further through the book. I must admit, I really like the male lead in this book, Eric Bennett. So he is a bisexual veteran goaltender. He's in his final year before he's planning to retire in the NHL, and he just seems so nice. Like, his inner monologue is always really nice. He's recently divorced. He's been divorced for about a year, but him and his ex-wife, like, there's no bad blood or anything. He's not ashamed of his feelings, at least as far as I can tell. So I really like reading about him. He seems very nice. I am curious to see as the story progresses if my opinions will change at all. But so far, big fan of the male lead in this book. Sunday. I have been cleaning this morning, so I decided to start a new Audible book, and I decided to go with Carrie Soto is Back. This was on my March TBR, so that's exciting. I'm also playing a tennis tournament this afternoon, so it feels fitting to have started this. This will be my first Taylor Jenkins read. We're following Carrie Soto, who was the greatest tennis player the world had ever seen. She's been in retirement for the last 6 years, and she holds the record for the most Grand Slam titles, I believe it is. But she's actually watching an up-and-coming player who's about to break her record. So this story is about her coming out of retirement. I am loving it so far, and I'm only 36 pages in. The book starts with that present story, and then it goes back into the past and follows her childhood up until she's got to this point. I have heard really good things about it, and I can understand why already 36 pages in. It's been a great one to listen to on Audible as well. It's got a variety of voice actors, so it's not just the same person doing like the male voice, female voice, etc. So I'm liking that as well. Good one for Audible so far. But I need to get changed, get ready for tennis, maybe listen to a little bit more. It's helping me to kind of like chill out a bit because I'm a bit nervous heading into this tournament. It's just like a social tournament, but still. So that's a little bit of an update for my Sunday morning / afternoon. I have to be honest with you. Technically it's Tuesday night, not Monday night, so I am checking in a week and 1 day after I started this vlog to give you the update of how many pages I read throughout the week. But forgive me, okay? I've been busy. So let's recap the books that I got through this week. So at the start of the week, I finished off The Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. I only had the last 62 pages of this book to listen to when I started this vlog, so I didn't talk to you much about this one,
but I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. After sitting on it for a while, that seems accurate to me. Enjoyed it, very cozy read if you want something just a bit more lighthearted, cozy, not very high stakes. This is a good one for you. And then I decided to completely pivot, and we picked up How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates by Shaylee Thompson. Slasher rom-com comedy, and this one I read the whole physical book, which was 351 pages, and this I'm also going to give a 3.5 stars. I think earlier in the week I said 3.75, but I think I'm more comfortable with the 3.5 stars. This is a genre clashing book. It's meant to be, that's what it's marketed as. I think the author does a really good job of blending slasher and comedy. I'm excited to see what the girls from book club rated this one. I do think if this was turned into a movie, it would be really good. I read this physically, however, I do have a friend that listened to it on audio, and little warning, if you choose to listen to this one on audio, apparently the killings in the book are quite graphic, like they have sound effects, etc. So just keep that in mind if you choose to listen to the audio. I've warned you. Then I started The Common Goal. I have read 76 pages of this one. I think I'm up to just before chapter 8. I'm enjoying it so far. I don't think it's going to be the best book I ever read. I feel like right now it's sitting at about a 3-star, but not much I can update you on this because I got consumed by Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think I mentioned this one on Sunday. I only started it on Sunday, finished it today. I actually listened to it all on Audible, so that was 364 pages. I loved the audio of this. I highly recommend listening to this one as an audio. It's probably the best audiobook that I've listened to. It has a full set. It has a full cast of voice actors. And something that I really loved about it is that at the end of some chapters, there's actually a news report that's done on Carrie Soto, the tennis player. And in the audio, you get the news music, and each presenter is different. When she's playing at the Australian Open, the news reporting from there is done by a voice actor with an Australian accent. Like, all those things really made this book a really good one. I gave this book 5 stars. That's how much I loved it. I do think if I read it and not listen to it, it might be like 4.5, but honestly the audio, loved it. I finished listening to it on the way to my tennis lesson today, so yeah, I think that Carrie Soto is such a badass of a woman. She is unapologetically herself. The world has this big opinion of her not being very nice, but when you actually get to know her, she is quite a lovely person. She's just very competitive. She has very high standards of herself, and she kind of expects that of other people as well. And I was obsessed. It was my first Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I'll definitely be picking up more of her books. It was also one of the 26 books I want to read in 2026. I'm so happy that I can mark this one off the list. But that is my little reading update. So if you're wondering what the total number of pages that we got through this week is, it is 853 pages, and it is pretty much a 50-50 breakdown between what I read physically and what I listened to. So I read 427 pages and I listened to 426 pages. I would say that this is probably a little bit higher than my average for a week, just because I did have that day where I was off sick, but I really enjoyed filming this. So if you want to see more reading vlogs, let me know. If there's certain books that you want me to read, also comment that below, and I will see you in the next one.